When I made my 2023 Toyota Hybrid transmission service video, one viewer's question stopped me cold. How do you service the motor generator cavity? Well, I searched everywhere. There's nothing in the service manuals, no clear dealer documentation, there's no published procedure, and that's one of the realities of working in the independent auto repair world. Sometimes the information just isn't there yet. On newer vehicles, we can wait months, sometimes years, for factory details to catch up. So I decided to dig a little bit deeper. I drained the motor generator housing myself, and about a half a quart of Toyota WS fluid came out. The problem was, I couldn't really find out how it was actually supposed to go back in. After a mountain of research, I finally understand how Toyota engineered this system, and it completely changes how you should think about servicing this hybrid transmission. So I'm underneath this 2023 Toyota Tundra Hybrid. Now, of course, there are some things that make the hybrid different from the conventional gas-only Tundra. And we're talking about the electric motor and the generator assembly. That happens to be one giant unit, and it's separate from the transmission. So on the Camry eCVT, we know that the hybrid motors, the electric motors themselves, are inside the transmission. Well, this Tundra works a little bit different. It uses a similar transmission that we would have on a non-hybrid system, and it mates it up to this little motor generator housing. And inside that housing is the motor generator itself. There's a clutch pack in there to engage and disengage certain components within the motor itself in order to transmit power to the engine, to the rear drive line, to operate on motor-only function or a combination of engine and electric motor. And that fluid is in there to operate the clutch pack and also to lubricate and cool the system. So when we originally did this transmission service video, I had no idea that this motor cavity had something to do with the transmission. I thought it was a separate cavity with its own fill procedure and own drain. So we didn't film that portion of it. And what I want to do here is make a little, amendment to our original video. And we want to talk about how this is going to be serviced and why we should incorporate it into our transmission service. Now, some of you guys out there might be Toyota techs, and I can applaud you if you've had these apart already. Unfortunately, we're in the independent repair facility here, in the aftermarket is what I should call it. And a lot of times we don't get to see these cars for 2, 3, 4, 5 years until they're out of warranty. Now you guys are fortunate, you get to see them with 4 or 5, 6, 10,000 miles on them, so you might be tearing into these things already. And you might have the process down on here, but for us in the independent world, we don't always have the access to the information that the Toyota techs are getting straight from the factory, and certainly not at the same time span that you guys are getting it. So for us, it makes it a little bit difficult when we don't have the proper information of how we're supposed to be performing certain services. Somebody had asked me this question, well, how do we service this? It has a pan on it, and it has a drain plug on it, so obviously it needs a service at some point. But the question is, how does it get done? Now, I looked high and low all over the place and tried to find some service information for this. I could find absolutely nothing on it. It was driving me insane. I was calling the dealerships, calling people I know, techs in the industry. Nobody had a suitable answer for me. During my research, I happened to stumble upon a fellow named John Kelly, and he runs the automotive technology program over at Weber State University in northern Utah. Now, he's got a lot of fantastic videos, and he happened to have one on this particular setup and how it works. And he was able to answer my question just by watching this video. I happened to see something in the video that made sense, and then once he explained it towards the end of the video, then it really made sense to me. So inside of this housing, inside both of these housings, inside the transmission and inside the motor cavity housing, there are some passages that feed back and forth between the two. So there's a couple of pressure ports in there, and there's also a drain. The big drain is a big oval shape, something like this. So once the fluid gets pushed in there, then it'll do its job in there, and the overflow will drain back into the transmission. Some of it will be kept inside the pan. So with this knowledge now, I say it's time for us to update the procedure on this transmission service. I think it makes sense to go ahead and drain the extra half a quart or so out of here while we're doing the drain on here. Now, I can also tell you, we use these aftermarket information sources like AllData, Identifix, Mitchell, ProDemand, Motor, all these things that are out there. And they don't have any specific procedure in there. Even when you look at transmission service for the hybrid electric vehicle, they don't say anything about draining the motor cavity on here. And I think this is kind of an oversight, and probably needs to be included in the service information. I think it makes sense to do them both at the same time. They're sharing the same fluid. So keep in mind, this doesn't take a whole lot of fluid, so it's not like it's not getting pushed through the entire system You know, it is of course moving through there, but it just makes good sense to drain it as well. I think that should be part of the process. It may be part of the process. If any of you Toyota techs are out there and you know exactly what's going on with this thing, it would be nice if you could enlighten us a little bit, fill us in on what the actual process is, because none of the information out there is useful to us as far as how to service this thing. But what I can tell you is we're going to drain it out of here. I'll show you a little bit of the fluid that comes out. It doesn't take much. This pan is really not holding a lot. And all of that excess is just circulating through from the transmission into the motor generator cavity. And then when it overflows this pan a little bit, it pushes itself back into the transmission pan. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, I've already drained this cavity. I was looking high and low for a process to service this. It seemed pretty logical that you could drain this and then pull one of these plugs out of the side and fill it up. So I pulled a couple of plugs out one at a time, and I pushed some air through the cavities, and then I poured some fluid in, drained some out. Now it is possible to put some fluid in one of these holes and get this pan to fill back up, but that's not the proper procedure, I don't believe. It looks like it's going to fill directly from the transmission using the same transmission fill procedure and level check procedure that we outlined in the transmission fluid service video. So go ahead, when we're done with this, I want you guys to refer back to that video if you're looking to do this service. Add this step into your transmission fluid service, and then finish the fill procedure and level check exactly like you would in the normal transmission fluid service video. But let's go ahead and drain this thing so I can show you how little actually comes out of here. There's not much in this. And you can tell the pan is extremely small. There's no reason for it to have a lot of fluid in it. But I'm going to go ahead and measure it out for you. So you can see I'm just about done draining this fluid here. It didn't take very long, and I'm just going to throw the drain plug back in for a second so I can show you how much fluid we actually got out of this. If I can hold this up here, I don't know how well you can see in the light. I'm going to move this fluid around a little bit. But you can see our 1 quart level is right here at this line, and if I'm holding this somewhat level, I really don't even have a half a quart in there. I would say it's even less than that. So I'll pour it out here and just kind of show you again on camera that there is not much fluid in this thing. That's it. So just a splash. So if you guys have been servicing the transmission prior without servicing this cavity, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Most of that fluid has been exchanged already, probably several times out of this pan. Sloshing around in there and moving its way back into the transmission pan. So I don't think it's a big deal, and I don't think it's something that you should go back and necessarily service it. But I want to add it for the future viewers and make sure that you guys are maybe servicing this one at the same time, even though our procedure hasn't really called for it. I think it's a great time to do it. Now, by filling this back up, that fluid will work its way back into the pan. That half a quart will probably settle back in there at some point, and your fluid level should be correct if you follow the procedure I showed in the other video. I want to give a little shout out to Professor John Kelly at the Weber State University. He runs the automotive technology program over there, and he's got these fantastic videos on how a lot of these transmissions and components work. And he was instrumental, his video was instrumental as well in allowing me to understand exactly how this motor generator is serviced and where it gets its fluid from and where the fluid returns to. Okay, so if you guys haven't seen his videos, you need to go check him out. He's got an awesome demonstration on this hybrid setup on the Tundra. So really useful to watch, and I think you guys will learn a bit. I know I did. I'm not going to outline that entire procedure that was in the other video. You guys already have it. I will throw a link to that video from this one, and then I'm also going to throw a link from the other video to this one as well for our future viewers. I just wanted to update that information now that I have it, and give you guys the opportunity to service that motor generator if that's something that you want to do. Keep this video short and sweet. Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.